Welcome. In this short video, we'll explore Scikit-LLM, an open-source library that brings the power of large language models into the world of Scikit-Learn. Then I'll show you a real use case I built and ran entirely on a local GPU. Let's start with the idea. Why would you want to glue together a classical machine learning toolkit and a modern language model? It turns out the combination is surprisingly elegant. So what is Scikit-LLM? At its heart, it's a Python library that wraps language models behind the familiar Scikit-Learn estimator interface. You get text classification, named entity tagging, summarization, and translation. It speaks to OpenAI, Anthropic, Google Vertex, and even local models, all under a permissive MIT license. The magic is the consistency. Every model is just a standard estimator with a fit method and a predict method. That means it drops straight into Scikit-Learn pipelines, grid search, and cross-validation. You don't write any prompt plumbing. The library handles that. If you know Scikit-Learn, you already know how to use this. Here's how it actually helps you. With zero-shot classification, you need no labeled training data at all. You define a classifier simply by listing the candidate labels, and the language model does the reasoning. Want a different engine? Change a single model string. You can go from idea to working prototype in just minutes. Let's see how the pieces fit together. Raw text flows into a zero-shot classifier that exposes the Scikit-Learn fit and predict methods. A simple model string routes the request to a backend, OpenAI, Anthropic, Vertex, or a local model. In our case, it lands on a local GGUF model running on the graphics card, which returns a clean predicted label. Now for the fun part, the use case I built. I wanted to prove that Scikit-LLM can run completely offline, with no API keys, fully on my own hardware. The setup uses the local GGUF backend, powered by llama-cpp-python and compiled with Qt. When the model loads, all 27 of its layers are offloaded onto an NVIDIA RTX 4090, taking up about 2.2 gigabytes of memory. There is no API key, no cloud round trip, and absolutely no per-request billing. To make it tangible, I wrapped it in a small Gradio web app. The model loads once it starts up, then you type any text along with your own candidate labels. Here, a movie review is correctly tagged as negative, computed entirely on device. The very same code path could route support tickets or tag any other category you define. And this is the entire demo, in about 8 lines of Python. We import the estimator, tell Scikit-LLM to push every layer onto the GPU, and construct a zero-shot classifier pointed at a local GGUF model. We fit it with just the label names, no training data, and then call predict. The result comes back as the single word, negative. Let's walk through that code one step at a time. The imports pull in the Scikit-Learn style estimator. Setting GPU layers to -1 means full offload to the 4090. The constructor chooses a local model with no keys required. Fit takes only the labels, making it truly zero-shot. And predict runs on device and hands back a label. What does it cost to run? After a warm start, loading the model and the first inference take about 1 second. In steady state, it classifies around 10 samples every second, and it scored a perfect 100% on the quick sanity check batch. All of that fits in just over 2 gigabytes, very comfortable on a single 4090. It's worth weighing the trade-offs. The local GGUF path costs nothing per request, keeps your data completely private, has no rate limits, and works offline, though it's bounded by your GPU's memory. The cloud APIs give you the very largest frontier models with no local hardware, but you pay per token, you need a network, and your data leaves your environment. Scikit-LLM lets you choose either with the same code. Why does this matter? Because Scikit-LLM removes the friction between classical machine learning workflows and modern language models. One familiar interface, many backends, and the freedom to run it locally or in the cloud. That's a wrap. Scikit-LLM is built by BeastBite AI, and is open source under the MIT license. The demo you saw runs a local model on an RTX 1490 with no keys and no cloud. Thanks for watching, and I hope this inspires you to try it yourself.